right, a very quick media briefing from the IEC this hour. They basically say that as of 19:30, that's 7:30 p.m., 55% of the results have been captured across the country, and that they are still pursuing that target of having 90% of the results captured across South Africa by tonight. So they have been questioned about people registering to vote and not appearing on the voters' roll, people being disenfranchised, and our concerns about their democratic right, being hindered because they weren't able to vote because of the flaws in the system. The IEC also saying to that they do understand that there are allegations that this happened, but they are still going to look into it. But no solid response in terms of the way forward there. We can speak to our reporter, Slindelo Masikane, who's here at the ROC with me. So, see, that was, of course, a very brief media conference held by the IEC because it seems they're more concerned about getting the numbers in, getting this captured, reaching that 90% target by tonight. But politicians are raising lots of questions because they're all there on the floor coming to the media randomly and saying, hey, this happened here, that happened there, and we have concerns which we're raising with the IEC. What have we heard so far?
Well, we've heard quite strong comments, in particular from the Democratic Alliance, in terms of their criticism against the IEC and how they've conducted these elections, saying that they have 5 years to plan for this. All of these glitches that they're trying to explain away is simply not good enough when it comes to the shortage of ballot papers, when it comes to the issues around the voter management devices, saying that all of these problems really shouldn't have arisen and that they need to be held accountable. The IEC, on the other hand, obviously coming to its own defense, saying that they never want to, conduct elections in a manner that's not going to be free and fair and transparent, that they're always striving to be better, and that they welcome the criticism, and that in terms of many of the issues that have been picked up, they are aware of those problems and they're dealing with them. I mean, the fact that voters who registered didn't come up when they tried to go and vote is a big one. Right now we're hearing that at least 140,000 of those people were able to vote, but what about the other plus 100,000 that couldn't make it back to the voting stations?
Yeah, exactly. It's so weird for me to be sitting here and seeing politicians who we normally only see at press conferences at their headquarters just walking up and down. I saw Jessie Duarte, the ANC's Deputy Secretary General, walking by with a cup of juice, which means that she just came from dinner, by the way. But this is it, Sally, if I can bring you into the conversation and hopefully hear you. That's what's happening here. You refuel by going to get your lunch, dinner, and then you come back here and you're crunching the numbers. And that's what we're seeing happen here at the ROC. And whichever politician you speak to, they can tell you that, we're pretty stressed or we're optimistic or this is how we're reading the numbers. It all depends on how they want to spin it to South Africa. Because as you know, the ANC election head told me earlier on that, it's not defeat, but it is a warning from South Africans that they're not happy with the way in which the ANC has conducted service delivery at local government level. So that's what we'll see here for the next couple of hours. 55% of the votes captured by 7:30 this evening, 90% hopefully by later tonight, and that'll give us a really good indication about the hung metros, hopefully, even though the IEC says that in Tshwane, for instance, it's taking a bit longer because of areas that are a bit far out and how those votes were captured. So those stations and voting districts will obviously take a little longer to send through their results to the ROC here in Tshwane.
So, Shahan, I wondered if you could tell me a little bit about the mood, and perhaps Slee, who I know has also been on the floor, could weigh in here as well. Fikile Mbalula was quite grave in his tone, but very frank and very open with you, I felt, when you interviewed him earlier. And then you compare that with the Action SA spokesperson who was just utterly delighted. You could see that they were really thrilled that their plan seemed to be paying off so far. Talk to me about the mood of the different political camps on the floor.
Yeah, there are some political parties that are actually not even showing up on that big board behind me. I was saying to Slee earlier, where's the UDM? Because Bantu Holomisa is always in the media. He's always talking to us on eNCA. And I'm just starting to wonder, where they are making a mark, in which metro. We saw them in Nelson Mandela Bay a couple of years ago. Eventually, because of discontent there, they had a mayor in charge, but that ended, obviously, and the mayor is late. So, SLE was trying to get information from them about how they're doing in other places. And that's the thing, though, SLE, right? Because it depends on how they're doing. Some parties that are not doing very well, Sally, are not going to come to the media. In fact, they're sitting there in that corner very quietly, and you have to go up with your mic and approach them live. But Action SA is super happy. The Freedom Front Plus, super happy because they're making inroads.
Yeah, those are parties. Action SA, I think, is one to watch, especially as we lead up to the national elections, Shahan.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that they're a new party making such inroads, in particular in Johannesburg, where we know we're definitely going to see a coalition government coming out of there. But, Herman Mashaba, very excited. I mean, you saw his energy saying that, they are willing to work with anyone when it comes to running the city of Johannesburg. And the only party that is not on that list is the ANC. A very interesting comment for me from Herman Mashaba was that he got into politics to get the ANC out because they are a curse, according to him, to South Africans, and that they need to be rooted out in any way possible. So I think it's going to be very, very interesting. Johannesburg is the most highly contested municipal council in the country, with 56 parties on that ballot paper. So Action SA, being a new kid on the block, out of 56 parties, making those kinds of numbers so early in the game, I think is definitely a warning shot to the ANC.
And by the way, they didn't even have their name on the ballot paper, but they still managed to make such a dent. And Sally, it's interesting, right? Because I know when I went, because we've been covering this so much in the media about how Action SA went to court to try to force the IEC to reprint ballots, and eventually they didn't win that case, and all you would see is their logo. It worked.
It clearly did.
They've clearly made their mark.
But I think, Shahan, my favorite quote of the day was an interview that Ronald Masinda did with a Rastafarian man in Knysna. And he was saying, I loved it, he said, Rastaman is self-reliant. Rastaman don't believe in the system. And I'm just wondering how many South Africans...
You have the accent down too.
I'm good, hey? I've been to Knysna a lot, but never Jamaica. I just wonder how many South Africans no longer believe in the system. And I really, truly hope that if we see an era of coalitions, it will bring about a humility amongst our politicians, that they are there to serve South Africa and they are there to provide for us with the money that we pay in our taxes. And that, for me, will be a wonderful new era. Let's hope, let's pray. Shahan and Ramkissoon and Sindile Masekane in Pretoria, thank you so much for chatting to us, and we'll chat to you again a little bit later. I want to actually pick up now on an interview you did earlier with ANC election head Fikile Mbalula. Very interesting interview. He spoke about the fact that the ANC is expecting to drop below 50% support, but he also spoke about load shedding, and of course we know that Eskom announced a little earlier this afternoon that from 4 o'clock we were back in those power cuts until 5 o'clock tomorrow morning, and very likely more. Well, Fikile Mbalula saying that those power cuts definitely impacted voter sentiment in the run-up to the poll, also affected turnout, and he reckons the problems around power supply and Eskom need to be urgently addressed. Let's take a listen.
We need to kill the monopoly of Eskom. Unfortunately, we have to address issues of Eskom in the middle of a campaign. Monopoly of Eskom when it comes to electricity is what is a disaster for South Africa. We need to diversify. Eskom has got old power stations and all of that need to be refurbished. That is the biggest challenge you've got, but also the monopoly. So we need to diversify. Independent power producers need to come to the party, and that is what will work. Mixed approach is what will work for us going forward. And then we need to also ensure that the local government, like in Johannesburg, they've started to also have their own capability. In that way, we will address these issues, but we need a compact with the people. We can't do it alone. We need to agree with the people. Do you want prepaid, or what do you want? Come to the party, you pay, and that is it. So it's not just an easy issue. Blame it on one person. blame it on, we need to diversify and do that vehemently and with determination.
But that's taking long because you know, we heard recently bidders being announced to supply power, but it's going to take 3 years before they can contribute to the national grid. 3 years is a long time, and people are going to be peeved off about it because for the next 3 years it's going to happen over and over and over.
The problem with Eskom, we deal with it like the tap and the Leipzig way. Ad hoc, switch on and off. When there is load shedding, we make noise. And then we are assured by those who manage Eskom that no, within a period of time, load shedding is gone. Tell South Africans, confront them and tell them within a year, you will experience load shedding. And I promise you that within a year, there will be no load shedding, and these are the things that we are doing. The problem is tap and Leipzig way. We come to people with, and that is why as the ANC we said to Eskom, give answers. Yeah. Minister came out and all of that. I can tell you now that you will have trains next week at Prasa, when I know that you will not have trains. And that is why I shut down Mabopane, I shut down Cape Central, and then I'm building there. I can only be failed by management and the board of Prasa. But I need to be able to tell our people, these are the harshest realities that face them. Yeah. They don't have enough money to basically, without trains, to get into the taxis every day. It affects them negatively, and if it affects them negatively, it affects me.
Yeah. So are you happy with your deployees in government that are dealing with the Eskom matter as a party?
The ANC will make that evaluation, and I think our own comrades have done their part. And some of these entities have
they haven't done enough because of your statement last week. Listen, you said it yourself.
Yes, that is true. They've not done enough because these entities have been bankrupted over time. And then they faced state capture, which report is
which
still
happened
coming.
Under your watch?
It happened under our watch, and we are dealing with that, and it will never happen ever again. And that is why we had the state capture thing. So these entities have been dealt with. We forget quickly. In less than a year or 2 years, we are expected to reverse huge ballooning corruption that has been brought by state capture at Eskom, and that should have actually been done just over a couple of months. What is a lack maybe on our part we need to admit in this social compact is to intensify communication and telling the people the truth as it is. What are we dealing with, and how far will we go to address some of the challenges?
Yeah.
ANC election head Fikile Mbalula speaking to my colleague Shahan Ramkissoon a little earlier.